So in this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to run a chi-square test of independence in SPSS. If you remember, a chi-square test of independence is used to assess the relationship between two nominal variables. So essentially, it's a correlation analysis for nominal data. For this example, I want to see if there is a significant relationship between the type of holiday drink purchased at Starbucks and the location of the Starbucks where the drink was purchased. So to run the chi-square test of independence, you will need to go to Analyze, then Descriptive Statistics, and then click on Crosstabs. Once you click on Crosstabs, you will get a screen that looks just like this one. From here, you will need to move the two nominal variables that you want to test the relationship between into the boxes on the right. Specifically, you will put one nominal variable into the rows box and the other variable into the columns box. So for this example, I'm going to put Starbucks drinks into the row box and then Starbucks location into the column box. Now, where you put each variable doesn't really matter. So technically, I could also put Starbucks location into the rows box and Starbucks drinks into the column box, and it wouldn't affect the analysis. However, it's more common to put your dependent variable into the columns box and the independent variable into the rows box. All right, so after you've moved your two variables over to the right, you need to click on Statistics. Once you've clicked on Statistics, you'll get this screen. And here, what you'll need to do is click on chi-square, as well as phi and Kramer's V. Now, it is absolutely necessary to click on chi-square if you want the chi-square analysis. So if you don't click on chi-square, all the output is going to give you is the crosstabs. It won't give you your chi-square. So just make sure you click on chi-square. Now, once you have these two options selected, you go ahead and click Continue. Then what you'll want to do is click on Cells. And here, what you'll need or want to click on is Expected, because what this is going to give you are the expected values that were used in the chi-square calculation. Then you could go ahead and click Continue, and then click OK to run the analysis. And this is the output that you're going to get for the chi-square test of independence. Now, the first box tells you how many people were included in the analysis and if there are any missing data. The second box is the crosstabs. Now, this box will tell you how many people are in each group, with the group being drinks by location. So for this example, there were 7 people who ordered the chestnut praline latte in the north, and it's expected that there are going to be 6.7 people, or 7 people if we round up, since technically we can't have 0.7 of a person. And now the last box is actually going to give you your chi-square. And what you'll want to do is look at the Pearson Chi-Square Row. And here we could see that our p-value is 0.727. So what this indicates is that there is not a significant relationship between the type of holiday drink and the location of the Starbucks. So essentially, the location of the Starbucks does not favor one drink over another. Now, if our p-value was less than 0.05, this would indicate that there is a significant relationship between the type of holiday drink and the location of the Starbucks. Now, if you have a crosstab that is greater than a 2x2, what you'll need to do is follow up the chi-square test of independence with the post hoc analysis in order to determine where that significant relationship is. However, I'm not going to go over that in this video. But if your crosstab is a 2x2 table, which is not what we have here, but just for an example, you could interpret the crosstab to see where that significant relationship is. So for a 2x2 table, you could kind of think of that as an independent sample t-test where you don't have to run a post hoc analysis. All you have to do is look at the means. And then anything greater than a 2x2 table is kind of like a one-way ANOVA, where you have to follow it up with the post hoc analysis in order to determine where that significance is. Now, the last thing that I wanted to go over in this video is really the only assumption for a chi-square test of independence. And what that assumption is that in each cell, there has to be at least a count of 5. However, if you look at our data, there's 3 spots where we don't have a count of 5. And in fact, if you look at the notes in the chi-square test right underneath that table, it'll actually tell you how many cells don't have at least a count of 5. And it says 3. So technically, this assumption is violated for this data. However, since it's a fake data set, I'm not all too worried about it. And that is how you run a chi-square test of independence. If you have any questions, be sure to leave a comment below. But if you're one of my students, just go ahead and email me or text me.